Good evening, everybody, from the summit of Mount Washington. My name is Amy Cotter, and I am a meteorologist here at the Mount Washington Observatory. I'm here today to talk a little bit about what we're going to experience weather-wise this weekend. However, before we dive into that, I would like to bring up our annual hikeathon, our annual Seek the Peak fundraiser. So an exciting bit of news about this is that through the month of June, registration for this event will be half off. So we're really excited to see everybody at Great Glen Trails on July 19th. And we are a private, nonprofit, member-supported organization. So this is our biggest fundraiser every year, and it's a super exciting day. Seek any peak any day. And support the OBS however you can. But before I dive into this weekend's weather, I do have another special guest here joining our Facebook Live this evening, and that is one of our new summit interns, Madeline Smith. So welcome, Madeline. I'm going to hand this mic over to you. But how have your first few days on the summit been?
Oh, they've been great. It's been pretty chill weather for the first 2 days, except for the past 3 minutes or so. We started getting some lightning, which has been really cool to see on the summit. So, yeah, it's been pretty awesome.
Awesome, and this is your first time up north, right, Madeline? How have you liked it so far?
Oh, it's been really cool. I've never been up north this first time, so the scenery is really pretty up here. And yeah, it's been really cool being up in the mountains.
Fantastic. And my last question for you here today is so you'll be working on some research with us this summer. Can you give us a little sneak peek as to what you'll be researching?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm actually going to be working on a fall phenology project, which is basically I'm going to be working on a way to reliably forecast fall foliage. So yeah, that's really cool, and I'm really excited about that.
Fantastic. Well, we are so excited to have you on board and up on the summit this summer. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your first week as you have hopefully the first couple days up here. But like Madeline said, we do have some thunderstorms happening on the summit right now. So this is our current summit conditions page that we're looking at right now. Our current summit conditions page is telling us a few different things, but perhaps the most exciting of which is this weather section right here. So this weather section is in what we call METAR code, Meteorological Aerodrome Report. And so this code does stand for something, and that is that TS means thunderstorm. That RA means rain, so it's a precipitation type. That DZ stands for drizzle, and then lastly that FG stands for fog. So we are getting some thunderstorms here on the summit this evening, and that convective activity will really be the name of the game this weekend as we see some short waves tracking along a stationary front. But the last thing I'll point out on our current summit conditions page is our visibility. So our visibility right now as we are in the fog is pretty close to zero. We can actually take a look at what that looks like on our deck camera right here. So not a super interesting view from the summit of Mount Washington. However, maybe we'll get some sound effects, who knows, from that thunder as we learn a little bit about what we're going to experience weather-wise here at the higher summits this weekend. The first thing I want to pull up for everybody is this surface analysis map. So this surface analysis map shows us a few different things. That first of which is showing that stationary boundary across New England. So that stationary boundary, we're going to have a few short waves tracking along it this weekend and some low pressure tracking along it this weekend. But let's hop into tonight. You see those really dark shading of green, those areas with really dark shading of green. That's some pretty heavy rainfall going on. And then that stationary front will linger through Saturday. Jumped a little bit too far ahead. But then we'll start to shift east as a cold front as some higher pressure builds into the region on Sunday. Jumped ahead to Monday morning. But as that high pressure builds in, we could get a little bit of a drier end to the weekend, thankfully, before that next low starts to approach. But let's take a look at our precipitation amounts and also where it's going to be heaviest. So right here's a map of the United States, and you can see that shading in green and blue across much of the northeastern United States right now. And as we move into tonight, you can see some pretty dark shading, some red shading even, particularly in southern New Hampshire. So that rainfall, that convective activity could produce very heavy rainfall at times. And then as that short wave kind of exits the region along that front, we'll see a little bit of a lull in rain, but it will continue overnight as some stratified rain and drizzle. But then as we go into Saturday and Saturday afternoon, you'll see some heavier pockets pop up again with more convective activity. But let's take a look at our hourly precipitation rates, zoom right into New Hampshire here, to see when it might be heaviest. So going into tonight, we see some rain moving into the region. This evening, it looks like some parts of southern New Hampshire will get quite a bit of heavy rain, and a bit of heavy rain up here in the mountains as well. You can see that rain will start to diminish in intensity as that convection tapers with the loss of daytime heating tonight. And then as we go into tomorrow morning, you can see that rain start to pick up again. We'll have some rain showers tomorrow, potentially heavier rainfall at times, as another shortwave tracks along that boundary. But then you'll see as we go into Saturday night that rain is going to start to taper off. Showers will taper, leading to a much drier Sunday as that higher pressure builds into the region. But perhaps the most important thing this weekend is our not just those localized flooding concerns, but also our convective available potential energy. So that's talking about convection, that's talking about the instability that brings thunderstorms. So you can see there is quite a bit of available energy down in Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire. However, it does extend quite a bit into New Hampshire. And as we go into this evening, you can see that those pockets are going to bring some pretty severe thunderstorms as they pop up across the region. And then as we lose that daytime heating, that convection is going to subside. But of course, again, it will start to pick up on Saturday with another shortwave tracking along the boundary. And the concern with tomorrow's thunderstorms aren't necessarily going to be super severe thunderstorms like they will be tonight. However, there certainly there is sufficient enough convection to produce some heavy rainfall, and especially areas that have already been saturated by rain overnight tonight that could produce some concerns for localized flooding in certain areas. So definitely keep an eye out, not just on our Higher Summits forecast, but also your local forecast with the National Weather Service. Keep an eye out for any flood watches that may be put into effect with this heavier rainfall for yet another rainy Saturday. But thank you for joining me up on the summit here today, and I hope you enjoy your weekend. We seem to have quite a range of conditions this weekend up at the higher summits, but stay safe and enjoy your weekend.